On today's episode of the Unframe of Mind show, we've got a guest from our Unframed Minds Facebook group who volunteered to come on the show and talk about the train wreck that is her life. I'm just kidding. It's probably not that bad, but we're gonna discuss her relationship and lack thereof of relationship and more. So just stay tuned for that coming up on the Unframe of Mind show.
You're listening to the Unframe of Mind show, the place to have the most mind-stretching, unprotected, intellectual intercourse of your life. Your hosts battle the forces of evil by lobbing fiery balls of truth, reason, and evidence over safe room walls.
All right, so one of the things that we've decided to focus a lot on is in our general material is relationships. Mm-hmm. You know, that's something that I think everybody can relate to. Everybody can use some help in certain areas, especially, you know, when it comes to like looking at the example of other people's lives and things like that, and just kind of figuring out where they stand.
The do's and don'ts of life.
Yeah, the do's and don'ts, and it really helps a lot. So we just, you know, we're always looking for new guests and new people to talk to and new stories to hear and new problems that may arise, and we look to try to help solve them or at least point them in the right direction best that we can. You know, we're not the authority on all things relationships by any stretch of the imagination, but it definitely helps to bounce these ideas.
Well, it opens the dialogue of what others might be going through. Right. You know, something similar, I guess, and maybe kind of give them a direction in which they can go in or reevaluate.
Absolutely. So today we have Heather on the show to have one of these conversations, and welcome to the show, Heather.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, what's going on? I hope you're having a good morning so far.
Yeah, besides the train wreck.
Besides the train wreck, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you under the train bus. My bad.
It is what it is.
Got to build up the show a little bit and make people go, "What train wreck? I got to see this." So you know,
that's gonna be the title for the show.
Yeah, you know, I hate to bum y'all out who's watching this far into the show. The intro was, you know, I don't know, maybe it really is I don't know. We're gonna find out. We're gonna do some digging. And I appreciate you coming on and being you know, I think the best word for this is brave to come on and talk about this stuff. And because this is can be a really sensitive subject and really a very personal subject as well, because it has the potential to highlight a lot of your vulnerabilities that you may not otherwise be comfortable sharing. So
we're going to point those out if we see them.
Yeah,
so.
I definitely appreciate you coming on and
being
willing to do that.
I'm ready. I already know what it's about.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
And if anybody else would like to come on the show, even if you want to do it anonymously, we can do that too. I know we've had a number of people that have expressed interest in doing so, but they don't want to be on camera. They're concerned about other people finding out, and I totally understand that.
We just do the podcast for them.
Yeah, we can do audio only, and even if we have the video, we can just have it looking at our ugly mugs the whole time. And just have the voice coming through. So don't even worry about that. If you guys want to come on and talk about your relationships or talk about, you know, whatever's troubling you, whatever.
We want to know your train wreck of a life.
I mean, we just because Lord knows you guys have heard enough about ours. So before we really roll into everything, maybe tell the audience a little bit about you and who you are, and you know, just introduce them to all things Heather here.
All things Heather, okay. Born and raised here in Tennessee, and basically, oh God, I don't know where to start. It is a train wreck for real. But I got in a relationship in my teens and thought that it had to continue no matter what, because I came from a broken up home like many others. My dad left when I was 2, so I never had a father figure in my life. And I watched my mom go through many relationships. So I thought, no matter what happens, no matter what I go through, I got to stick it out and got to make sure it works. And it was the wrong thing. It was definitely the wrong thing.
So basically you saw what happened before you and decided, well, I'm not going to let that happen.
Correct. And I don't care what I have to deal with, go through, good, bad. I'm going to stick it out, and I'm not going to be the reason it doesn't work.
Oh, it's almost like you were looking at the end symptom of everything and going, I don't want that particular symptom to happen. So you fought tooth and nail to prevent that, rather than learning how to choose correctly in the first place, I guess, would be.
What Heather wants, right. I lost Heather. Like 9 years, I totally lost myself. I don't know what Heather wants, what Heather needs. Like, it was all about the other person.
Wait, that's interesting that you say that. I lost Heather. There's a lot in that. I would be very curious to see what's behind that. What do you mean by that?
when we first got together, I was independent, outgoing.
Who was we? Who was we?
Huh?
Who was we? You talking about? Have you been married or
the relationship?
Past
the
relationship?
person I was with.
Okay.
We're calling him ex-husband.
We'll just say ex.
Okay.
We'll just say ex.
Okay.
That's another conversation we have to have. But yeah, we'll just say ex.
Okay. Sure.
I basically got to the point. It was, what does he want? What does he need? I'm going to do everything I can do to make him happy. And I slowly lost myself over 9 years.
So going back to your mom and that whole situation, coming from obviously a broken home, as you mentioned. So did she have a tendency of wanting to put men before her children? She did.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because that's something I kind of went through myself as well.
I went through sexual abuse from her partners. And after it happened, she still stayed with him, and I had to figure out where I was going to go. She didn't worry about that part. I had to figure that out.
I'm so sorry.
From house to house, yeah.
I've met, family. Yeah, I've met plenty of people that have had that similar situation. It's heartbreaking and terrifying, and actually the statistics back it up. That I can't remember the exact amount, but children who are in a step parent relationship or step parent situation are, I think it's multitudes greater chance of being sexually molested or abused. I mean, it was something like
biological.
It was something ridiculous, like 300 times more likely, like some number that in your mind you can't even wrap your mind around.
Fathom, right? You can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to do this, because I know there's plenty of other people that have went through the same thing, or are experiencing the same thing, and I want to help any way I can, because it's not worth it.
Okay, so before we actually dive into
before you say
wrongs,
hold that thought seriously.
I think
something's it's been bothering me from the start, and I noticed. I know you're probably nervous, but I can't keep engaging you in this laughter, because what we're talking about is some serious shit. You keep laughing about it, like
that's my nature. I'm gonna laugh back, so it's all good.
I know, but it's kind of sending a mixed signal here. You know what I'm saying? Because I know this stuff hurts you. I know this stuff has affected you, and I just I need you to consider that, because to laugh.
I do, honey. I think about it daily.
Well, I mean, no, not thinking about it.
Cope, though.
But the laughter portion of it, because it's almost inviting me to laugh at your pain, and I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying?
But sometimes that's her way it's a coping mechanism for her.
That's how I cope. Yeah,
right.
I have to.
I mean,
I get it.
That's a known cause, but it's
and
not a
laughing
matter.
It comes out of nervousness and whatnot, and it's not laughing. But I'm just letting you know, I can't keep. It throws me off of your scent a little bit. It throws me off.
It's fucking him up. It really is. He sees it.
It's
he
all
doesn't
about
see it from
Daniel. I see.
No, I mean it's not. It's a serious subject, obviously, that somebody goes through. So now going back to this 9 years of this relationship that you were in, let's take it back to the beginning. How did you guys first meet, and what was the relationship dynamics for you guys during that time 9 years ago? And what was it like? Just kind of give us an idea overall, like that overall sense of, was there love, compassion, partnership, etc.? Is that basically how it all started?
His sister was my best friend in high school.
Okay.
So I was over his house all the time because I was hanging out with his sister. And feelings started to catch, and it was kind of like I can't have it, so I want it. Because she was uncomfortable with it. She didn't like the idea of it. So that made me pursue it more as a teenager, because when you say no as a teenager, I'm going to do it. So that's how it started. And we eventually got the family to be okay with it. Sister and mom and all them. And in the beginning, yes, there was passion, there was love. I mean, everything. I'm not going to say I didn't love the man, or else I wouldn't have stayed 9 years with him.
Right.
There's definitely feelings. There's definitely all that. But I would say 2 or 3 years after the relationship started, it got comfortable. I didn't feel wanted, didn't feel needed. It was like, you ain't going nowhere, so why try? Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, it's
so now we're talking. I mean, we're talking 7 years of staying staying with someone who you knew 2 years after being together. So you made that choice to stay with him. Was there kids involved in this?
No. I watched my and I'm not bashing her in any kind of way. I watched my sister have a baby while in high school, and I had to help raise that child. So I had to grow up really fast. I already knew that was a full-time job.
Mm.
And the fact that he couldn't provide for me and couldn't, I'm going to use the word satisfy my needs, I knew he couldn't do it with a child. So I was smarter than that. I knew that didn't need to happen.
Did it ever happen? You still no kids?
No kids. No,
okay.
No.
And I'm assuming you want kids at some point, yeah?
Well, that's the sad part of it. And that's why I wanted to do this is, through my 20s, oh my God, I wanted a big family. I wanted a huge family. I wanted the whole thing, house, white picket fence, all that good stuff. But once I hit mid-20s and I saw where this was going, I knew better. And it's weird. I had this internal peace knowing that time has passed. It's over. Can't do it.
Oh, so you
just like now, if I got in a relationship tomorrow, I know with myself, and I'm comfortable with myself knowing that ship has sailed.
Man, it's kind of heartbreaking to hear that, because it sounds like you still I mean, honestly, it sounds like you still really want it. And I mean, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you right now?
31.
31. I mean, you've still got time. I mean, that's not a foregone conclusion. I get that you're kind of using that as a way to, I guess, isolate yourself or insulate yourself, protect yourself from getting your heart broken again. Maybe.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like something inside me goes, well, you could have done it, should have done it. It's too late. I don't want to at this point in time.
You don't want to? Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess going back to the relationship itself. So 2 years in, you guys started to kind of fall apart. Do you know, or if there was a significant point in time in which this started to dissolve itself to where he didn't want you or you didn't want him, vice versa? Was there just that moment you just knew that things were just not going to take a turn?
It was a combination, and yes, this is going to be very sad and embarrassing, but he was 2 years after, he was showing me something on his phone. I wasn't looking through it. He handed me his phone, showing me a video, and a female messaged him while I was watching the video. And they had apparently had full-on conversations about how he was going to meet up with her and all these good things. So that should have been the stopping point. But of course, he talked his way out of it and manipulated me. And I take ownership of my part. I fell for it.
Wow. So, yeah. Okay. 7 years. 7 years.
Train wreck.
No, it's pretty common, actually. And I think part of that, correct me if I'm wrong here, is a lot of the devil kind of thing. Like, like I already know I'm not in a great situation, but the unknown is far scarier. Yeah, the unknown's far scarier.
But it almost kind of seems like she was trying to undo a lot of what she saw her mom do. Instead of hopping from man to man, she just seems to me you chose to stick it out. That's what it seems like. Like you were willing to take 100%. Any kind of mental or even physical abuse. I'm not saying that there was, but it almost seems like you were willing to take anything just to stay with the same man, to not 100%. Fall into the same patterns in which your mom did when she was raising you as a child.
100%. That's why I said that in the beginning. I watched what a failed marriage is. I watched a grown man leave his kids and not give a shit, not think twice about it, and I would be damned if I was going to do the same thing. So it was almost like I was waiting for him to do something so bad that I could walk away and wipe my hands clean.
Gosh, that seems like that would have been enough. Like anybody hearing the story would go, yeah, why? Like
any other female would have left a long time ago. And not just anybody, with that story.
Yeah, anybody. Period. I would have been perfectly justified. And so I'm just curious, to what level would it have had to have risen for you? Like what, in your mind, what would he have had to done?
Physical violence.
Physical action. I would have had to have proof that he physically did something.
Do you think the mental aspect of all of this was far worse than the physical part?
Do what? I'm sorry.
Do you feel like that the mental aspect of the damaging that it has caused would probably outweigh the physical part of this?
Absolutely. Now, 9 years later, yeah, now.
Right.
Yeah, so now that I've grown up, I know.
Well, and
you got to think I was in my 20s. I was young, dumb, and yeah.
So what can you recall that he may have done or that you may have done that just seemed very toxic? I mean, was there a lot of arguments, a lot of fights? I mean, whether situations like over the phone or in person, did he ever get in your face? Did you ever get in his? I mean, the only reason why I'm asking is because if you think back to those situations that actually did happen and you chose to still stay with this man, that's concerning for me, for you as an individual, especially, being a woman.
Yeah.
Do you think back to those moments? And if there was, can you recall those and maybe share those with us?
I don't know why the physical part is like my limit. So he never laid a hand on me, because if he did, that would be it. It's like something with the physical aspect of it, I would have been done.
He knew that, didn't
he? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
so
known.
He played on
I let
he
him
knew,
know that.
Yeah, because you said something earlier.
You lay a hand on me, I'm out.
Yeah, you said something earlier that like he just got comfortable. He knew you weren't going anywhere.
Right.
And then
exactly.
he also knows where that limit is.
Yep.
So now
it's
he's
like
got
a kid. That's why I said I was dating a man child. It's a child.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can do this and she won't beat me. I mean,
right.
It was dating a man child. Yeah.
Mm.
And we got into arguments. He did talk to me that no female should be talked to like, yes, but it never got physical.
Well, could you be just as combative as he can be?
Yes. Like, don't.
Sure.
No, I'm just asking. I mean,
don't get me wrong. Whenever he did come at me like that and he did talk to me that way, I've fed it back. Yes, absolutely.
Here's my take on this. I do not think that one person is solely responsible for the demise of the relationship. I think it takes two people, two different, different situations for a fallout to happen.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's always I very rarely. I mean, it's sure it's probably balanced to one side over the other, but right. the idea, like the rarity where it's just one person's fault 100%, slim to none. But
right.
yeah, I mean,
that's why when I ended when I ended the relationship, I sat him down and I told him, I take my credit, I take my part of it. I did stuff that was fucked up too. It's not on you. It's not all on you.
So let's focus in on that and things that you had done, behaviors or whatever it might have been. What were some of the things that you had done that kind of contributed to the toxic part of this relationship?
Not having a voice. Like doing the things I want to do. Like I said, how I lost myself. I just started being silent. And it's small stuff to big stuff. If we're in the car and I want to listen to a certain song, I just shut up and let him listen because he would bitch about it. Or if it was big stuff like family events, I had to literally, in the last 4 years, I had to drag him to my family events. So it was little stuff to big stuff. It was everything. It was all around.
So kind of
the problem was I didn't go, you know what, like this ain't me. I just let it happen. I let it slide, let it go.
So what I'm starting to see shape up, and again, correct me if I'm wrong at any point. I'm just trying to get a bigger picture of what's going on here. What I'm seeing is a total dissolution of any kind of boundaries. Like you just let people walk all over you your whole life. You were trained that way coming up. Yeah, and
I think she was more concerned about repeating the patterns in which her mom, had shown her over the years.
Yeah, and in doing so, she ended up repeating the exact same patterns. Like basically, as a kid, your mom, she ends up bringing in these new men into your life. They're in here violating your boundaries all day long, and you haven't learned to create those boundaries for yourself, to vocalize what you're willing to accept and not accept. And as a result, people see that you're like a wounded deer in the woods and these like a sheep to slaughter here. Like people who have that kind of compunction, I guess, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, who have that tendency toward that kind
mentality,
of behavior, that they can sense that stuff and they can see, oh, this is a person that's going to let me have my way and just do whatever I want. And they don't have any kind of sense of self or any kind of boundaries. And it's just, you almost kind of invite that into your life by not vocalizing yourself. It just, is that pretty spot on there? Okay.
No.
Because in high school, oh my God, I was loud, outgoing, like nothing like I am today. And I know we all grow and we're going to change, but I still had that personality that I spoke my mind. If I didn't like something, I didn't do it, kind of thing. And it's like over the course of time in this relationship and going back to my mom, it's like, well, I'm going to shut up and put up.
Do you think that was more of just a rebellious teenage attitude versus a mature boundary setting teenager
No,
attitude.
I'm
there's
getting back.
there's a big difference there, though. I can totally understand, given your situation, being rebellious in that. Like, you're not gonna, you're seeing how adults are behaving in your life, and you're going, "What the fuck, man?
What have I been doing?" Like I always say, I feel like I've been in a coma for 9 years, because it's like, what the fuck have I been doing?
Yeah.
I feel like I've been just out.
So out of
But even my mom has said,
here,
"Oh, there's Heather. I see her. Okay, she's back. Okay."
Well, I've only known you for
it's not teenage.
I mean, I've interacted with you on the Facebook group, but I've only known you for a few minutes here. You seem like a very outspoken,
bubbly.
Strong, bubbly personality.
Bubbly.
Yeah, you got a great sense of humor. It's just I've noticed all these things, all these qualities about you just here, and I'm guessing that person was not present at all in this relationship.
Not at all.
Was it just around him, or at all ever around anybody?
At all. I had no friends.
The whole isolation thing.
I didn't do anything. It was me and him, and that was it.
God, so he
and it started to affect my family. And when it started to affect my family, that's when I was like, okay, not cool, because family's everything to me.
I'm doing something stupid.
Okay, so he isolated you too.
Yes,
and you allowed it,
and I'm not putting it.
And
exactly.
he knew.
I was just about to say that.
Right. It's everybody here, but so he let you violate at the same time.
In there?
He's trying to run a live video.
We're doing a live video.
They can't hear her at all. Right?
I know. Oh. So they have to go back and actually watch who we're talking to.
Yeah, and this is
He's gonna make them go back and watch it.
I have to get extremely close to Daniel.
So this is actually a bank episode.
I know.
So there's really no time. It might be the end of December before y'all get to see what.
I know.
Or hear what we're talking
Are you uncomfortable right now?
Yeah, no, not yet.
No.
Yeah. Oh, whoa! Don't touch that.
Oh.
Just kidding. Sorry.
It's November, according to Dia.
Threw off the whole flow of the conversation. What's wrong with you?
I know I did. That's the fun part about what we do is we don't stick to a script.
He's so uncomfortable here.
He's gonna blow you out, Anthony. You better watch out.
I know, being this close, God, I gotta wear like a mask.
That's a death wish. I'm just saying.
I think I broke your stool.
Yeah, no, well, I can fix it. It just keeps popping out.
He is so uncomfortable right now. Look at him. Look at him.
I see his face. Look at it.
I'm trying to hold the thought in my head of what we were just talking about, because the whole flow of everything was going a direction here.
So for the guys that are, for the folks currently tuning in and watching on the live feed, we're doing several recordings today, bank shows. But just want to stop in real quick and just say hello to everybody.
And interrupt us in the middle of.
I know it throws Daniel off. You know what? You got me on the live show. You got me. So I'm fucking with you today.
All right. Fair point.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
OCD.
Okay, let me finish that. You can cut all this out if you want to.
Oh, that's all good. I may leave it. I'll see what it looks like in post.
Okay. Right.
All right, so basically, what I'm trying to aim toward is not I don't know if it's aimed toward, but I'm trying to get a better picture of what. Okay, there's always signs. There's always signs of this kind of manipulative behavior.
This is looking like a construction site right here.
Yeah,
if you're talking about signs.
Yeah, in the beginning of a relationship, you're going to see a lot of signs, or like when you first meet somebody.
Bitch. Go back, bitch. You turn.
Right. If you know, like red flags, you hear about all the time, but people always seem to notice them in hindsight. Like they're totally, for men it's like cock blindness. They just see it. They just see a hot girl. I've been there. I'm sure Anthony's been there too.
All the time.
Everybody around you can see the toxicity in this potential relationship, but all you see is a nice set of tits or a nice ass, and you just want it. You can't nobody tell you no different.
It broke my family's heart that I never had kids, and I didn't do all that. My mom was all about me having kids, and my sister.
Yeah.
So it broke their hearts that I didn't do that, and of course that makes weight come on me and feel like failure is there. So it's not just him.
Quite frankly, I could give a shit whether it broke your mom's heart or not. Somebody that's going to stay in a relationship and expose you to a sexual abuser, a pedophile, I could give a shit if you broke her heart or not. This is not about her. This is about you. Okay.
It's so funny because I watched the interview. Anthony showed me the interview you did with him, and it's like we defend him even though they put us through some tough shit. We're going to defend them till the end because, and I went to counseling and I got a little insight on it. We have abandonment issues. So friends, it's not just relationships, friends, everything. We're going to latch on and hold on through whatever you do, just because we don't like the thought of not having you. Whatever you do to me, I don't care as long as you're here.
Would you say you still love your mom?
Absolutely. We're very close. I mean, and my dad even, he's come back in the picture maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. He's come back in the picture and has tried to build a relationship with me and has done a good job of it. But it doesn't mean that gets erased and I'm not thinking about what has happened or, you know.
It almost seems like forgiveness only runs so far.
What has?
Yeah.
I just want to stay focused on your mom for a minute here. But what has she done? Okay. What has she done, if anything, to provide you any kind of comfort, ease, restitution about?
Okay, I'm going to be very honest. She is the type of person, you know, the one-uppers. When you say, "I went through this," and they got to one-up you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went through that, but I went through this and this. She does that to me. Anytime we talk about the sexual abuse or anything like that, it's, well, my mom, you know, did worse. You know, she left
as if to say,
home, da 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 da. So there's never. She says she's sorry, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like that. It's almost like I got to say I'm sorry, and then, but I went through this.
Basically, almost as if to say, you know, whatever you're going through, whatever you've been through, I've been through worse, so your shit doesn't matter. Like, it wasn't that bad. Like,
or almost like, and it's because the way she was raised. That's what's so funny about relationships, friends, family, whatever. It's a generational thing. You know, her parents were the type that you wipe your tears or I'll give you something to cry about. So whenever I come at her that way, she's got a little bit of sympathy because she knows how it feels, but at the same time, she's like, it's life. It's tough. It's shit.
That's just how it is. Like, almost to justify it somehow.
Yeah. Move along.
Yeah.
You can cry all day, but where's it going to get you? Move along.
Wow. It is interesting that this kind of cycle keeps perpetuating, and it makes me wonder if you're so terrified of repeating that cycle that's part of what played into you not having children. Or not even wanting to have the opportunity to expose them to something like that.
Maybe to break that cycle.
I was too scared. I don't want them to go through that. Yeah. I don't want to be that person that lets them experience that or
But it sucks that it's hindered your ability to enjoy life and to create life, you know?
Yeah. Is it fair to say that you don't trust yourself to be able to choose somebody that you would feel comfortable having children with right now?
Right now, no. I'm not ready for anything right now. No.
Yeah,
I need to get myself back and figure myself out before I worry about anything as far as that goes, relationship-wise goes.
Yeah, like I was saying before, there's certain patterns that do occur. There's certain red flags that you can notice in the beginning of a relationship when you're trying to choose somebody. And as I said, you may not be able to see them yourself, but the people around you can.
Mm-hmm. My sister and my mom are the biggest ones in my life that were like, "What are you doing? Are you happy?"
But why would
happy,
you?
Though?
That does make sense that you wouldn't take your mom's advice. Like,
no,
why would
you?
Why would you take your mom's?
You don't know what it is.
Yeah,
so
why would you take your?
Gonna follow that trend?
Exactly. So basically, I would hear that and go, "Oh, so do the exact opposite of that."
I'm doing the opposite. I'm like, I'm going to stick through it. Exactly. I'm going to do whatever I got to do. I'm going to make it.
You did.
But I think what you're trying to get at is where was the support group from her friends?
Where was your support group?
I didn't have any.
And that's
I'm serious, y'all.
That's a huge deal. And your ex spent a great deal of time, I'm sure. Maybe not even realizing he's doing it, but isolating you from the few friends you might have had. So
I don't think he realized it. I'm going to give him credit for that. I don't think he realized it. He was, and that's why I say I take credit. We both were in this like survival mode. We're just going to fight until we make it. Like it'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better. So I don't think he intentionally, well, I'll take that back. He did when it came to friends. He intentionally did it. Because I couldn't talk to anybody without him. Who's that? Why? What? Where? Even if it was a female.
That's. I hate that.
So
I hate
that's
that
how
so much.
So let's kind of fast forward to today. with everything that you've talked about and discussed and what you've gone through, have you actually have set any healthy boundaries for you moving forward as far as when it comes to relationships? Because not only does this affect just the person you date, but I also kind of wonder if this doesn't affect your relationships with your friends and your family, being this kind of person that you are. So with that being said, have you taken some time to kind of reevaluate where you're currently at in life?
Absolutely. I've already hung out with multiple people that I haven't talked to in, like I said, 9 years.
Because
so
I think
I've got
right
myself
now,
out there, and it's like, and I apologize to him. I told him
right.
straight up, I was in this relationship. I cowered down. I shut everybody off. It's on me. And luckily, my friends have been very open and understanding, and I've hung out with a lot of people since this has happened.
So it kind of seems like she's building that support group that she needs moving forward.
Yeah.
Or she didn't have it, before, which is
I
good.
should have had the whole time.
Right. So I hope that you continue that process and, doing that with your friends. But just remember not to lose that support group the next time you get into that next relationship. But going back to what I said are there any healthy boundaries that you've currently set for yourself thus moving forward?
Yes. As far as, like I said, being outspoken and everything, I'm not going to, I keep saying it, but I'm not going to shut up and put up anymore.
I guess what I mean by healthy.
Like something, I'm going to say I don't like something.
Right.
I'm going to know what I want. And when I start dating again, I am going to lay that out on the table in the beginning. This is who I am. This is what I am. You either accept it or you don't.
Okay.
And you're just going to show, you're going to show up.
I'm going to show up.
Yeah. Yeah, I got so many more questions. But far as your support group, this is I keep wanting to hammer on it because it is hugely important.
It's vital.
Because not only is it important to have the support group, but it's also important to know that you're going to actually take their advice when they give it.
Yes. I was a good excuse maker.
Yeah.
I was a great excuse maker. I don't care what you came at me with. I had an excuse why. Why didn't you get married? Why aren't y'all doing this and that?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I was great at it.
Oh, yeah. We'll justify anything. That's just what people.
And I put blinders on.
That's what people do. We'll justify anything. Oh, I need to buy that thing because there's a birthday coming up. I'm sure somewhere. We'll find a way to justify anything. And that's
what the big deal was, marriage. That was the biggest one.
Yeah. So you can be your own worst enemy in that, and that's why it's hugely vital to like I said, not only have the support group, be able to trust their judgment, but also be able to step aside and take the advice and be like, oh, okay, regardless of what I'm feeling, like I got these hormones running through me right now. He's so hot, he's so nice, but my friends are like screaming at me from the mountaintops, hey, this dude is bad news. You got to be willing to just trust them. And
that's
that's going to be hard for you.
That's what's so sad about it. That's what's so sad about it. It wasn't that, oh my God, he's so hot. It was the idea of, I can have that house. I can have the kids. I can have that. I don't care what I got to do. I'm going to get there.
It almost seemed like you were willing to take anybody along for the ride just to advance your life in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And when you're for an analogy here, when you're a small little rickety boat in the middle of the ocean, you'll grab a hold onto whatever you can grab a hold of just to find salvation. That's. Wow. My
mom let me go through this tragic stuff, and not let me go through it, but I felt like I didn't get closure or the talk that I should have had.
Yeah,
it's like I'll grab to anybody that will care. I don't care. As long as you care for me and you'll show that to me, I'll do whatever. I don't care.
Are you still currently in therapy by any chance?
No.
I would really consider getting back into it before you get into a next relationship, and maybe you need to work out some stuff, that you still kind of harbor any kind of resentment towards your mom from past experiences.
That's something that's one of my main questions here because there's something that I've been kind of working towards slowly but surely here, and that is this hugely important question of you said you love your mom, and you said it. You said it like, hell yes, I absolutely love her no matter what. And I can't help but think, like, say if you did have a daughter and somebody did the things to her that what happened to you, and she came and told you about all the things that happened to her, would you be comfortable having would you be comfortable having a relationship with the person that violated your little girl?
I would be comfortable with the relationship, but I would not allow my daughter to ever be near or be put in the position that it could happen to her.
Yeah, I mean, let's take your mom out of the
There
equation.
would be
Let's just
boundaries.
say it was a perfect stranger. Like, take the mom portion out of the equation here. Let's just say it's a perfect stranger did this to your daughter. Like,
Okay.
how would you handle that situation if your daughter came to you and said, "Hey, you know, such and such is," you know?
I would have so got her in counseling. Like, I wish my mom would have said, you know what, I'm sorry, and I don't quite know what to say or how to deal with it. Let's go find somebody that can help us do it.
And she didn't do that.
No.
So okay. So here's the question: How can you call that? Okay, how can you expect to find love if that's what you call love?
I know now. That's what I'm saying. It's like
reasonably, like if you're going and trying to find a new person to be with, and you're telling them I love you, but you're also saying I love your mom, your mom who's done all these things and not really made, repentant or nothing.
I almost kind of question her ideas of what love is.
Right. See, I as a I'm not saying I am a healthy individual. I'm saying if I'm a good dude that has that has this idea of what love should be, and I'm hearing you love me, but you also love her, and they literally cannot be the same thing.
It's not.
You follow me here?
But yes, it's separate though, in the fact that I was raised, like I said, without a dad. So I feel like love is unconditional. You can fuck me over a trillion times, but because I love you, that's the point.
And how's that
if I
worked
didn't
out?
love you, I wouldn't.
How's that worked out for you so far?
Not great.
I think it's maybe time to change that belief for that principle.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely got to be boundaries, like I said. And I've got to change a lot of ways. Yeah.
I would personally encourage you to maybe get back into counseling for a little while and kind of talk about your past as far as dealing with your mom and what your ideas are considered, what love is, because we obviously don't see, I mean, not saying we don't agree with you. It's just, we obviously know that love means something completely different than what you're describing to us. I mean, we understand that you can love your mom. We all love our parents, but I love my dad. I don't like the dude. I don't. Yeah. And I understand
that's what I'm
that.
saying. I love her, but it doesn't mean I agree with everything. I'm not saying that it's acceptable.
But I don't implement the love that I have for my father into my relationships because I know what comes with that. So that being said, I have to understand that I have to kind of create some distance between me and my father to understand if I'm going to love unconditionally, I want it to be with somebody who's going to respect me, who's going to value my opinion, not degrade me. And not kind of throw me out, and
passive.
Who's not passive,
who's not going to sit there and try to one up you when you come to them with
oh my God, yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of work, in my opinion, that still needs to be done on your end as far as trying to work through the situations that you've had and probably continue to have with your mom. So maybe I would like to see you do that. I really do. And then maybe once you've gone through a couple of, sessions, maybe get back with us. We can have you back on and kind of discuss where you're at and see if maybe your thoughts have changed on things. So that would be ideally something I would like to see. And it just kind of shows that the progress of what we're trying to do with the show with, changing people's minds and opening them up to new ideas and just want people to be better for who they are and what they can and set out to be. So
absolutely, yeah, and I've always been open to that. That's why I went to counseling before, because I've been open to that, and I know there's something wrong. I'm not totally got my blinders on where I think everything's great. No, obviously not.
Well, just because you go to therapy doesn't suggest that there's anything wrong. I think that all of us could use a little self-improvement.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we go to therapy. I've been to counseling, God, I can't tell you how many times, because I know in the back of my mind it's a healthy conjuncture to talk about things, to discuss life problems, things that I can improve on, because I would much rather catch what I'm doing now than 9 years later.
Yeah, we're all
like
totally.
9 years later, you're like, what the fuck? Okay.
We're all totally blind to our own bullshit sometimes, and it really takes that extra person. It takes guys like us that are talking to you and like bringing up ideas that maybe you hadn't even thought about, that maybe you've never even had an opportunity to think about. Like I don't suspect you've got the type of relationships in your life where these are the kind of conversations that are digging this deep. Is that?
Well, my sister, yes.
Yeah.
My older sister, yes. She was like my mother figure. And growing up, yes, we've had these conversations.
Yeah.
But the problem there is we share the same mother. So we get to a certain point, and then it's like, well, that was our line.
But going to therapy and talking to people like us, you're not getting that biased opinion.
Or
unbiased opinion. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you're going to get it straight from us. You're not going to get it sugar coated from your friends that are going to say, well, he's just a douchebag. But they're not going to stop and ask you, well, what are you doing to contribute to this relationship in a negative and positive way?
Yeah, hold you accountable.
Because I tell you what, that's the one thing I love about doing the show with Daniel. Him and I are great friends outside of the show, but we hold each other accountable. We do that. We know that there's a specific line that we must segregate ourselves away from the fact that we are friends, but we're also realists. We understand that this is real life, and he's going to come to me and I'm going to come to him. Hey, what's your thoughts and opinions on this?
There's a couple times we've called each other on our bullshit. There's a couple times.
There is.
And that's great because that's what you want. That's what you really, really
That's what you need. Yeah.
want.
You have to have somebody that's going to go,
Yeah,
not only,
and they're going to hold you to account and they're going to be able to call you on your bullshit. And you might get a little upset about it and they're going to let you experience that emotion and they're going to be okay with it. Y'all are still going to be boys again in the morning. That's how it should be.
And that's how I feel with my sister, kind of. We do that. Like, she's told me over the years, this is not right. I can clearly tell something's wrong. You're not happy, but you're a grown-ass woman. I'm going to let you make your choices, but I'm letting you know I can see that you're not happy.
But you didn't
And that's
listen.
where my
That's the
ownership
question.
kicks in because I said, I'm not happy, but I'm going to continue. That was my choice.
Yeah, that's the curious. That's the curious thing is why didn't you heed her advice? Like you felt like it was good advice, but you didn't act. You didn't act. Like what stopped you? Because if whatever that is that stopped you is still present in your next relationship, you're going to repeat the same cycle.
It's failure. I thought ending it or doing something different would be failure. I ended it. I failed that relationship. And it's sad because now that I'm out of it, that's totally ridiculous. That's fucking retarded, stupid.
I'm sorry, but
no, you feel free to use the R word. I totally understand.
Ridiculous.
It's stupid now.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Watch your mouth, young boy. Well, here's the thing I look at it is I don't necessarily call relationships that don't work out failed. And the reason why I tell you that is because we learn a lot from those. If anything, it's a way for us to understand that we have a lot to improve on as individuals. I don't think your relationship was a failure. I think it was nothing more than building blocks to set you up for something better in life. You have to look at it that way. If you continuously approach it with a negative thought, that's how I feel like you're going to lead into your next relationship. So build off of what you've learned.
Oh, yeah. And she'll be super hypersensitive to those things. And you may end up going so far the opposite direction that it kind of scares them away. Like I understand.
You got to find a balance.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I do totally understand the fact that you did not have boundaries and you were letting people walk all over you and you weren't present. But at the same time, you kind of don't want to be like, I'm the only one here now.
Yeah. No, it's a partnership.
Yeah, you got to find that.
I've been the only one.
Yeah, no, I wasn't suggesting you would do that. Just be aware of that. Like people have a tendency to swing all the way in the opposite direction. They go from I feel like I got to help everyone, and I'm just trying to assist everyone and please everyone. I'm a people pleaser, and then go all the way in the opposite direction to fuck the world. I hate all of you. It's like no, somewhere in the middle and we'll be okay. It's fine. You can help some people.
I would not know how to be that way.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now. I don't care how much counseling I get at whatever. I could not be that way. I'm just not built that way.
Like I said,
I'll lay myself on the ground. Go ahead and walk over me. Like that's the type of person.
No, like I said, don't look at your 9 years. She'd make
a cute bearskin rug, wouldn't she?
Bathrobes?
Yeah, in a bathrobe. Yeah. Stretch her out on the floor.
Bathrobe, yes. You don't know how close I was to wearing one.
Why didn't you? Should have said that. We would have told.
Many people love that show.
We would have done that.
You have your little wine glasses and shit with the fire with it.
We have some weird friends.
When I come back on after the counseling, we have to do a robe.
Hey,
robe edition.
Definitely. I'm totally down for that.
But like I said, just take that 9 years, use it as a positive tool, look at it as self-improvement, things you can work on, things that you can build off of. whether it's relationships with your friends, your family, and, potentially for something more in life. But yes, I do hope that you get to help, not really help, but just the level of maybe counseling.
Knowledge.
Start moving in a positive direction. Yeah.
So we would like to, hopefully when we have you back on, we'll have a good update and just kind of see mentally where you're at.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this before we close out. How was this conversation for you?
It was great. I needed it. I needed to spew it out. I've been doing that with friends and everything, releasing. But I needed it for sure.
Was there anything that we mentioned that you think you might take as a first step that you would recommend other people also take as a first step?
I would say, and I've thought about this before too, but don't bring your family's relationships into your personal relationships as far as a spouse goes. That will train wreck. That will ruin everything.
That's interesting.
Because you're almost putting the damage on them as to what your family did to you. You're putting that on them, and that's not fair.
I'd say I disagree with that, but it is an interesting perspective that only you can have. I would say to make that better is say don't bring your toxic relationships into your healthy ones.
There you go.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. Because I get along with my parents great. I would love nothing more than to intermingle all those relationships. Because when if you're marrying somebody, you're marrying not just them, but you're marrying their whole family tree.
Family and friends.
Yeah. And ideally you would want all of that to kind of commingle and get along great and just be in this nice,
I guess
harmony
I'm
with
saying
each other.
Don't treat them the way that you feel about your family. Like I was putting stuff on him baggage on him that my mom did that he had nothing to do with, but he was feeling that. He was getting that from me. That was vibrating off of me and landing on him.
That's deep.
So that's why I take both sides of it. That's what she said.
Y'all have been watching another episode of the Unframe of Mind show. I really hope y'all enjoyed this and found some value in it. I know I did, and I'm sure Anthony and Heather here did as well. So if y'all want to come on the show and have a discussion like this, please head on over to the website, unframeofmind.com. It's down there in the low bar right there. And let us know, and we'll be glad to have you on and have the discussion. These are great fun. I think they're a lot more helpful than bickering over politics, as fun as that is.
Because this is real life.
Yeah.
So this is all something we can relate to.
Yeah. We'll still do politics. Don't worry. Yeah. We do enjoy that too. That's fun. But this is real. This is real shit, and this is stuff that people can actually use and take with them at the end of the podcast. So, All right, y'all. You have a good night.
Have a good night.